Hello everyone. Welcome to another video. What I have here today is an orchid from my garden. And as you can see, the leaves are severely discolored, showing tones of yellow, orange, and brown. This is usually a sign of major stress, disease, or sometimes the natural process of the plant dying. One leaf on the right side looks particularly withered and dried out, almost papery, white to light brown, which indicates significant dehydration or tissue death. Overall, the droopiness and the uneven color suggest this orchid is not healthy. It may be struggling with severe root rot, sun scorching, or a major watering issue. Now we're going to start by removing the leaves. Yes, and I really do mean all of them. When a leaf is this far gone, yellowed, shriveled, or dried out, it no longer provides energy to the plant. Instead, it drains resources and can even invite pests or disease. By cutting away all the unhealthy leaves, we give the orchid a chance to focus on healing its roots and producing fresh, healthy growth, instead of wasting strength on what's already dying. Next, we're going to carefully remove the orchid from its old pot, so we can take a closer look inside. The moment you slide it out, you can already tell something is wrong. The pot is holding on to far too much water, and that creates a suffocating environment for the roots. Orchids love air and moisture and balance, but when the pot stays wet all the time, the roots lose oxygen, they begin to rot, and the plant slowly declines. This is why drainage and a breathable medium are so important. Now, our job is to remove every bit of the old substrate. Whether it's moss, bark, or soil, we want it all gone. Gently loosen it with your fingers, shake off the clumps, and if it's stuck to the roots, don't rush. Work slowly, peel away the layers, and give the roots space to breathe again. Now, we will use a clean shear or a pair of sharp scissors to trim off any part of the roots that can no longer provide nutrients for the plant. Dead roots are usually soft, mushy, and dark in color, while healthy roots are firm, plump, and either green or silvery. When trimming, always make sure your tool is sterilized. You can wipe it with alcohol or dip it into boiling water, just to be safe. This step is very important because any cut we make is an open wound for the plant, and we don't want to introduce bacteria or fungus. Carefully snip away the damaged roots, one by one. Take your time, and don't be afraid to remove more than you expected. Remember, unhealthy roots are a drain on the plant. They steal energy without giving anything back. By removing them, we help the orchid concentrate its strength on the roots that are still alive and working. What you end up with is just a stem with a few roots remaining. But don't worry, this is completely normal after a deep clean. At first, it may look bare, even a little shocking, but remember, an orchid doesn't need a jungle of roots to survive. It only needs a handful of strong, healthy ones, and those will be enough to support recovery. Now, we're going to give the orchid a gentle wash. You can do this using a soft water spray, or simply under a sink with a light stream of water. The goal here is to rinse away any small pieces of old substrate, dust, or hidden pests that may still be clinging to the roots. Make sure the water is lukewarm, not too hot and not too cold. Extreme temperatures can shock the plant, and at this stage, it's already delicate. Move the orchid around gently. letting the water flow across the roots and stem, almost like giving it a refreshing shower. This step may seem simple, but it's very important. A clean orchid is less likely to develop infections. After you're done washing, give the orchid a gentle wipe using a dry cloth or a soft handkerchief. This helps remove any excess water sitting on the stem or between the roots, which is very important because trapped moisture can lead to rot. Now, we will use a clean razor blade to slightly cut off the very top of the stem. This step may feel a little intimidating, but don't worry, it's done with care and for a good reason. By trimming the top, we remove any dried or unhealthy tissue and give the plant a fresh surface to work with. As soon as the cut is made, we immediately seal it off with a drop of melted candle wax. This creates a protective barrier, locking out bacteria, fungus, or excess moisture. Think of it like placing a bandage on the orchid, keeping it safe while it focuses on recovery. Always remember, sterilize your razor blade before making the cut, and use just enough wax to cover the wound, not too much. A clean cut and a proper seal will make all the difference for the orchid's healing process. Let's move on to making the solution. And for this step, we're going to use a banana. Start by peeling it. And remember, it's the skin we actually need. The fruit inside, you can enjoy as a light snack while we work. Now, take that banana peel and cut it into small pieces. The smaller the pieces, the easier it will be to break them down later. Banana peel is rich in potassium and phosphorus, two nutrients that orchids absolutely love. Next, we will be using aloe vera. Begin by cutting a small chunk of the leaf. This piece will go directly to help the orchid itself. Before preparing the rest, take the stem of the orchid and gently place it inside the fresh aloe flesh. Aloe vera is packed with natural enzymes, vitamins, and antibacterial properties. And by letting the stem touch the gel, we help it absorb a little extra protection and healing power. Once that's set, go ahead and cut the remaining aloe vera into small pieces. These pieces will be added into our solution later, where they'll mix with a banana peel to create a powerful, natural tonic. Together, they provide both nutrition and protection, giving your orchid the best chance to recover and grow strong. While we're preparing the ingredients, did you know about the Cattleya orchid? This beautiful orchid is often called the Queen of Orchids because of its large, vibrant blooms and sweet fragrance. Unlike Phalaenopsis, which prefers lower light and steady moisture, Cattleyas thrive in brighter conditions and enjoy a period of drying between waterings. Their flowers are truly spectacular, with ruffled petals and striking colors that can last for several weeks. In fact, Cattleya orchids were once the most popular corsage flower in the world. So if you've ever seen those elegant orchid corsages from old photos, chances are they were Cattleyas. Learning about different types of orchids not only makes caring for them more fun, but also helps us understand how diverse and adaptable these plants really are. Now, we're going to place all of our prepared ingredients into a blender. Add in the banana peel pieces, followed by the aloe vera chunks. Once everything is inside, pour in about 500 milliliters of clean water. This will help break everything down smoothly and create a liquid that's easy to use for our orchid. Now, let the blender run for around 2 minutes. This ensures the banana peel and aloe vera are completely crushed, releasing all their nutrients into the water. Once that's done, take the blended mixture and carefully pour it through a strainer. This step is important because what we really need is the liquid. The liquid carries all the nutrients and beneficial properties, while the leftover pulp can be discarded. Make sure you strain it slowly, pressing lightly with a spoon if needed to get every drop of goodness out. What you'll have now is a smooth, natural solution, clean and easy to apply to your orchid. The rest, the fibrous pulp, you can simply throw away or even add to your compost if you have one. At this stage, you can add another 500 milliliters of clean water into the strained liquid. This helps balance out the solution, making it lighter and easier for the orchid to absorb. Now, we will proceed to place the orchid stem into the solution. Make sure it is fully submerged so the cut areas and exposed roots can soak up the nutrients. This soaking process is very important because it allows the aloe vera and banana compounds to penetrate deeply, helping the plant fight off bacteria and encouraging new root growth. After 1 hour, carefully take the orchid out of the solution and place it on a clean surface. Now, give it a quick inspection. You will notice the roots look more plump and hydrated compared to before soaking. Some of the thinner roots may even show a slight greenish tint, a sign that they've absorbed moisture and nutrients. Look closely at the stem as well. It should appear fresher and less dry. This quick soak not only nourishes the orchid, but also helps us clearly see which roots are ready to thrive and which ones may still need trimming. By taking a moment to observe these changes, we can better understand how well the plant is responding to treatment. Now, we will use a small amount of cinnamon powder and lightly brush it onto the trimmed part of the stem. Cinnamon is a natural antiseptic. It helps seal the wound and protects the orchid from bacteria or fungal infection. By applying just a thin layer, we create a barrier that allows the cut to heal safely while still letting the plant breathe. Remember, a little goes a long way. Don't cover the whole stem. Only focus on the freshly trimmed areas. This simple step is like giving your orchid a natural bandage, one that guards against disease and supports recovery. Let's prepare a temporary place for the stem to grow, and we'll begin by selecting a container that is large enough for the stem to sit inside without bending or being cramped. The container doesn't have to be fancy, as long as it's clean and sturdy. That's all that matters for now. For this setup, we will be using foam as the base. Foam works very well as a temporary medium because it provides gentle support, allows air circulation around the roots, and holds just enough moisture to keep the stem from drying out. Place the foam at the bottom of the container and take a moment to see how it sits. If the foam appears uneven or out of shape, don't worry. This is very common. What we need to do is trim the foam carefully, cutting away small pieces until it fits flat and snug at the bottom. The goal here is to create a stable, level base, so the orchid stem will stand firmly without leaning or wobbling. Once the foam fits perfectly, place it inside the temporary pot, making sure it sits flat at the bottom. Now, let's turn our attention to the stem. Because the stem by itself is not very strong, we'll need to give it some extra support. For this, we're going to use a stake. Grab a stake that is tall enough to match the height of the stem and position it close to where the stem will sit. Then, gently wrap a piece of soft wire or plant tie around the stake and the stem. Don't make it too tight, just secure enough so the stem stays upright without being squeezed. The goal is to help the orchid remain straight, while still allowing room for growth and movement. Once the stem is tied and supported, place it carefully into the pot, resting it on top of the foam base. Double check that it stands firm and doesn't wobble. Finally, pour in just a small amount of clean water, only enough to moisten the foam. This will keep the environment slightly damp, providing humidity and comfort for the stem without drowning it. Finally, we'll use a seal to cover everything up. For this, I like to use a smoothie seal because it already has a small hole on the top that fits perfectly over the pot. After 28 days, you can see the changes very clearly. The stem that once looked weak and lifeless now shows signs of recovery. Fresh root tips may be emerging from a base, firm and green, a clear signal that the orchid is responding well to the environment we created. The stem itself looks stronger, more upright, and more stable against the stake. In some cases, you might even notice the very early formation of tiny leaves or buds, proof that the plant is gathering its strength back. These changes might seem small, but for an orchid, they are huge milestones. Each new root and each sign of fresh growth means the plant is reclaiming its health, step by step. With patience and continued care, this temporary setup will eventually allow the orchid to grow strong enough for repotting into a more permanent home. Now, before we can move the orchid into a new home, we're going to split the stem into 2 parts for propagation. This step allows us to create not just one plant, but 2, each with the chance to grow into a healthy orchid. For this process, we'll need a sharp, sterilized razor blade. Always make sure the blade is clean, because any bacteria left on it can easily infect the plant. Hold the stem firmly and make a precise, straight cut through the middle. Take your time. Don't rush this step. The cleaner the cut, the better the chances for both halves to recover and grow. And finally, let's prepare a brand new home for our 2 stems. Start by grabbing yourself 2 clean pots. Always make sure they have clear drainage holes at the bottom. Drainage is absolutely essential because orchids hate sitting in water, and without those holes, the roots could easily rot. Now, take some fresh pine bark and begin filling each pot. The bark will act as the main growing medium, giving the roots plenty of space to breathe while still holding the right amount of moisture. Place the stem carefully into the center of each pot, keeping it upright and stable. Then, add more pine bark around it, gently pressing down so it feels snug but not overly tight. Once the stems are in place, cover the very top layer with a thin cushion of moss. This moss layer works like a natural blanket, helping to lock in moisture, and at the same time, signaling when the pot is beginning to dry out. It also recreates a little piece of the orchid's natural habitat, where moss and organic matter protect the roots on tree branches. From here on, routine care becomes the key to success. Water sparingly, letting the bark dry slightly before watering again. Place the pots in a bright spot with gentle, indirect light, never in harsh sun. Every week or so, check the leaves and roots, wipe them clean if needed, and watch for any new signs of growth. As the weeks go by, you'll see stronger roots, firmer leaves, and eventually, the promise of blooms. Remember, orchids teach us patience. They may not change overnight, but with steady care, they always reward us. These two stems, once weak and uncertain, now have a second chance to grow into thriving orchids, ready to surprise you with beauty when the time is right. So treat them kindly, follow the routine, and enjoy the journey. Because in the end, caring for orchids is not just about saving a plant. It's about watching life rebuild itself slowly, beautifully, and with resilience. And there you have it. From a struggling orchid with almost no hope to two new stems, each ready for a fresh start. This journey proves that with patience, gentle care, and a little creativity, orchids can always come back stronger. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to give it a like. And if you want more orchid care tips, make sure to subscribe and ring that bell icon so you never miss a new upload. Share this video with your fellow plant lovers, and let's keep growing together. Thank you for watching, and until next time, happy growing.